Okay, let's go ahead and double check to make sure that we are live. Let's go ahead and double check that we are live on all platforms. Just want to make sure we have the tech set up. But um, today's going to be a good one, you guys. Today is going to be a good one. Okay. All right, cool. So if you're today, I'm going to show you guys I'm going to show you guys how to make some good money in tech. And so we just got started, and let's have some fun. So if you guys don't know me, what's up? My name is Tayo, and if you're making six figures, or even if you're not right now and you still feel broke, this live is for you. Okay, in the next 30 to 50 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why that's happening, and more importantly, how to make $300,000 in the next 90 days. This is not someday. This is not maybe. This is actually. I'm going to give you guys the roadmap. And so go ahead and type a 1% in the chat. If you guys are ready, go ahead and type a 1% in the chat. I want to give you guys a lot of gems. I'm super excited for you guys. Go ahead and type a 1% in the chat. Okay. Cool. I'm going to give you guys all the gems. Just want to make sure you guys are active. This is going to be very interactive. And so, okay, cool. Niski, I see you. Up to Par Daily, I see you. It's going to be really fun. And so try to take some notes, and I'm going to give you guys some good information. So, one of the things that no one is really talking about is you're not broke because you're bad at your job. You're broke because you're just playing the wrong game. Okay. And I want to show you what the right game looks like. You guys with me? Go ahead and type a one. Cool. Type a one. Nice. And so I'm going to break down the math real quick. Okay. Let's just say you're making 160 or whatever. I'm going to use $160,000 a year as an example, but let's say you're making 160. That is six figures. Okay. People think that they're winning, but if we look at what's actually happened, okay, if you look at, $160,000 after taxes, that's around $105,000. That's a 35% right tax rate if you're making that money. And you feel like you're making $160,000, but you're actually making 105,000. Inflation is like 4.5 on average. And let's just say your raise is 3%. You just got a pay cut. Okay. Go ahead and type a 1% in the chat if you guys are following along. All right. Appreciate you, James. Of course. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Okay. And so I'm gonna actually show the comments on the right side. So, anyways, you just got a pay cut, right? And so you're trading time for money, and time is all you have. Okay. Senior engineers, the ceiling at most companies is around $180,000. It's around 200,000 tops, right? And you can see exactly where you'll die in the org chart. Excuse me, right? Also, what some people don't know is that you're one Zoom call away from being, right, one of my students. I won't use his name. I'll say Tom, for example, because I don't want to put him out there. This is super important. Tom, right, he was making around 140 at Amazon, right? He had good years of experience. He had exceptional job. He had an exceptional job, but he got laid off, right? He couldn't find work for over a year. He had to do different odd jobs. He had to do DoorDash. And it was like he had to move back with his parents too. And what I want you guys to understand was it was one decision made in a boardroom that changed his whole life, right? And so I want you guys to understand, I want you to be aware of what's going on in terms of when it comes to like the money that you're actually making, in terms of like the reality of being laid off. This is something that most people don't think about, but this is important. We don't want to be in a position where we're not empowered. Okay, we want to be in a position where we actually have the skill set and the ability to attract different recruiters, to attract different opportunities, and to be able to obtain them based on the skill set that you possess. Go ahead and type a 1% in the chat if that makes sense. Go ahead and type a 1% in the chat if that makes sense. You guys with me? You guys with me? Okay. Looks like I wasn't live. Cool. Nice. Nice. Now, okay, so you're making decent money, but for some reason, you're getting poorer and poorer, right? You're working hard, but you're one layoff away from nothing. This is super important. I want you guys to pay attention because you don't want to be in a position where you're laid off and you're stuck, you're trapped, right? So everyone around you thinks you're doing good, right? But that's the trap. But here's the thing. The people who break out of this, right, they're not smarter than you. They just change one thing. Go ahead and type a 1% in the chat if you guys are following along, right? Iski, I see you. Go ahead and type a 1% in the chat. You good, boss. You good. I appreciate you. Go ahead and type a 1% in the chat. Okay. Cool. There's one thing that's changed. Okay. There's a guy, he's smart, talented, making 90K. Okay. And let's say he's making 90K in analytics. He's stuck, applying to jobs, getting nowhere. This might sound familiar to some of you guys. Okay. Now, before he's at 90K, feeling trapped, applying every day and getting rejected. And then he might be thinking to himself, am I not good enough? Right? The answer is no. You're just playing the wrong game. The shift, this is the thing that changed for him. The shift was he was able to assess his skills. Now, I want you guys to understand something. Like, and I want you to see if this makes sense for yourself. Jaden, yes, you can definitely ask a question. I'll definitely answer it afterwards. Right? See if this makes sense for you. Based on the skill sets that you possess, do you have abundance? Do you have security? Now, what do I mean by that? What this person did, he's making 90K. Let's say he's a data analyst. He's applying to jobs, he's getting rejected. He cannot get an opportunity to save his life. He's making good money, but he wants to increase his income. He's thinking he's not good enough, but that's not the case. He's just playing the wrong game. The shift was he learned cloud engineering. He didn't learn more, right? He just positioned himself differently. Now, what do I mean? Ask yourself, the person that I talked about that got laid off, right? He came to me and he asked for some help. And I told him, I'm not going to show you how to get a job. That's where people go wrong. You want to focus on skills. Type a 1% in the chat if you're following along. You want to focus on skills. I want to tell you the skills that changed his life. He's actually one of my testimonial students on my YouTube page. Those who are on YouTube. Type a 1% in the chat if you guys are following along. I'm going to show you the exact skills that he learned from the skill set, and you'll be able to see. I have different like social proof, offer letters, testimonials, right? Proof, right? In 10 months, he was able to actually get $1.4 million in offer letters. Talk is cheap. People say anything online, but actually look like his name is Isaac. I'll just put it out there. His name is Isaac. The testimonial, you'll see it on my YouTube page. And I'm going to show you the exact skills that he learned. Okay. So Jaden, you said, what type of projects does the mentorship provide? So there's 3 projects and there's 3 tech challenges. I'll go more into detail in a few. I want to give you guys the skills first. Now I'll kind of talk about the projects. And those projects are things that's in demand currently in the marketplace. Okay. You don't want to just learn any projects online. I used to do that, right? But I wasn't actually learning the right things. I wasn't actually getting the experience. You'll hear something like, oh, go ahead and make a resume website using S3, and like literally that's like the most basic, project. And it's, if you were to put that on your resume, anybody can tell you're learning cloud. Like that's like normal. If you're trying to learn cloud, anybody can pick that up. But you want to be able to build projects that's currently in demand. A company typically is looking to hire someone because they have a problem, and they need somebody with the skills to be able to come in there and answer that problem, to be able to solve that problem. And the projects that you're doing showcases the employers that you're able to solve their problem. Because if you're able to solve their problem, now the company is going to be making a lot of money. And so let's just say they're paying you 100,000 or 200,000. You're going to bring them in millions, or help them not lose millions. Okay. And so Jaden, you said, because I've done projects in migration and auto scaling. That's so one of the projects we do is a cloud migration project, migrating on-prem, like applications and databases from on-prem to AWS, right? And you want to go through that process, right? What type of strategy are you using? Right? Lift and shift. There's different strategies you can use, but you want to be able to understand that full process, right? There's different meetings that you'll have with different team members, right, to understand the scope of the project. To understand, there's a whole different thing, right? But yes, that is one of the projects that I do teach with inside the 1% University. But nonetheless, let's go back to the skills. This is the skill set that one of my students used to go from being laid off at Amazon, move back to his parents' house, right? Had to pick up odd jobs, struggling, one of the worst moments of his life. And within 10 months, right, he was able to make $1.4 million in offer letters. I'm going to show you exactly, it's 2 skills. Type of 1% in the chat if you guys are paying attention. I want to make sure I want at least 2 1% in the chat before I go ahead and tell you guys the skills. It's very simple. Jaden, I see you said yes, lift and shift on-prem to RDS. Okay, yeah, and yeah, okay. Okay, Jaden, I see you. Up to par. I can't read. Nice. All right, cool. Literally, guys, it's not that complicated. It's just someone telling you, which is what I'm here to do. Skill number 1. You want to be able to learn the skill set. So specifically, I teach cloud engineering. There's RMF, there's SOC analyst, there is database administrator, there's network engineer, right? I teach cloud engineering, okay? You want to learn a skill set in tech that gives you the ability to make 6 figures, okay? So I'll do a high-level deep dive of cloud engineering, okay? Actually, let me pull up my my curriculum, because I have everything just outlined, okay? Because I want to give you guys the tech stack that I use with my students. I'm going to give it to you guys for free, okay? And so, you guys ready? I'm going to give you guys this stuff for free. If you take notes and learn this stuff, this is the cloud engineering tech stack. Type of 1% in the chat if you guys are ready. Nice. Dre, I see you already on it. Right, type of 1% in the chat if you guys are ready. I'm going to give you literally the tools that you need to learn cloud engineering. What I teach, my students are able to make anywhere from 130 or more, okay? So type of 1% if you guys are ready for the tech stack. Make sure you have your notes out. I'm going to give you all of the tech stack that you need to be able to build the skills. Remember, there is 2 skills. The first one is AWS Cloud Engineering. What does that entail? Okay, that is AWS. So you want to choose a cloud provider. There's AWS, there's Azure, and there's GCP. I chose AWS because, I mean, you'll hear this anywhere online. It has the most market shares, meaning that there's more jobs and opportunities in AWS. Typically, some people go for Azure if they want to get into GovCloud, because the government typically uses Azure, like Microsoft's cloud platform, for their infrastructure, their cloud infrastructure. But I chose AWS because I wanted to increase the odds of me actually getting an offer letter, more opportunities. Makes sense. And so you want to choose a cloud platform. You guys with me? You want to choose a cloud platform. That's number one. That is number one. Okay. Number two. Give me 1 second. Okay. Number two. You want to go ahead and learn the other technical skills. What is that? So inside AWS, right, I'll just give you different core services like AWS, EC2, like you want to learn EC2, just the basics, S3, VPC, right, application load balancer, right? There's Lambda, right? There's different core services that you're going to use a lot of the times. Okay, so EC2 is like the basics. Everyone and their mom knows that. Okay, cool. So AWS EC2, S3, IAM, right? Identity Access Management, VPC, CloudWatch. Okay. Now, that's AWS, right? There's a bunch of services you can learn, but just start with those. Then these ones, think about it like it's different pieces. I wish I had some stuff to kind of show you guys. Let me show you. So I have some markers right here. So it's different pieces. I want you guys to look at it like so there's computer networking. You have to know like the fundamentals of computer networking, how computers talk to each other. Okay. Type of 1% in the chat if you guys are following along. Type of 1% in the chat if you guys are following along. Nice. Cool. Type of 1% in the chat. I'm trying to make sure my laptop doesn't die. All right. Cool. This is exactly the step-by-step formula of showing you guys how to go from 0 to $300,000. It's the same thing that I teach my students. Okay, nice, cool. Now, so there is computer network. Got you. Hey, Jada, you might need to come on the live and teach. All right, cool. If you're not following me on Instagram, like actually DM me because I like how interactive you are. I got something for you. All right, so remember these. Think about a tech stack, like different technologies you need to learn, and it's like a puzzle that you need to put together. There's computer networking. You need to understand how computers talk to each other, right? There's Linux. When it comes to AWS Cloud Engineering, somebody had asked this on one of my YouTube videos when they commented, like, what about Linux? Linux is like, that is where, you're going to use that every single day. You need to understand how to navigate around that operating system, knowing the command line. And the good thing about Linux is like, you don't need to remember every command. You just need to be able to know the commands that you're going to be using on a day-to-day. I think I remember like 10 commands. And then any other command I don't know, I just research it and use it. Like literally on interviews, I've said that and they say, cool. They do the same thing. Okay. So I'll kind of speed through this, but you want to know that an AWS cloud platform, you want to know computer networking, you want to know Linux, you want to know SQL, right? Database, right? You want to understand how to speak to a database and query information. Okay. You want to know how to get information, right? Update information, delete information. Okay. You want to know how to talk to a database, right? Python, Terraform, Ansible. I'll get rid of these because I don't think I have enough fingers, right? But Docker, Kubernetes, Git, GitHub, right? If you're able to, so I'll re-say it again. You want to understand a cloud platform. So let me actually restate this. If you want to know how to go from zero to $300,000 a year as a cloud engineer, this is what you need to learn today. You need to learn an AWS. You need to learn a cloud platform. I chose AWS because there's more opportunities there. Then you need to learn computer networking. You need to learn Linux. You need to learn SQL. Okay. You need to learn Python. Okay. You need to learn Terraform, Ansible. Okay. You need to learn Docker, Kubernetes. You need to learn Jenkins, Git, and GitHub. That is the tech stack that I teach my students that's able to make multiple 6 figures. One of my students 2 days ago, he just got 2 offer letters, right? Inside my program. I posted on my Wins channel. I posted on my Instagram with my highlights. You can see it on my highlights, and it's all my testimonials are there. And then another student 4 days ago, he got 2 offer letters, right? These are 6 figures each, okay? Okay, it's insane. And so they're learning that tech stack. Type a 1% in the chat if that makes sense. Type a 1% in the chat if you guys are following along. Yeah, throw in Linux there too. Yes, sir. I see you, James. Okay. Jenkins. So for CI/CD, a lot of people, I get a lot of hate that like, oh, Jenkins is being outdated. Yes, like Jenkins is like a CI/CD tool that is a little bit like there's better CI/CD tools that you can use, right? But the problem is some companies they're not using GitLab CI, they're not using GitHub Actions, they're still using Jenkins, right? So you still want to understand Jenkins, and Jenkins there's a lot more configurations, manual configurations that you have to do, but it's still good to know it because if you know one, okay, if you know one, then you're just using a different tool, but with the same core concepts. It's to automate, right, deployments. So I won't go in depth, but there is different tools in the tech stack. I'm gonna say that one more time. There are different tools in the tech stack. The good thing about, and I love cloud engineering because you do not need to be an expert, right, in AWS. You don't need to know all the services. There's like what, 2,000 plus services, I think. It's crazy. You don't need to be a network engineer. You don't need to be a cybersecurity specialist. All you need to do is understand what the tech stack that I said, Terraform, Ansible, Docker, Kubernetes, Jenkins, right? You need to understand what they do. What is this tool? Why is it important? And how can I use this tool? And each of these tools, they're literally like a piece of the puzzle, and they connect to each other. Okay, they connect to each other. Once you use this tool, for example, I use Terraform to automatically build infrastructure on AWS. If you're not in cloud, it's going to sound like I'm speaking another language, but trust me, it is not complicated at all. I'm going to use Terraform to build my house. Let me use it in everyday term. I'm able to use, think about it like this. Terraform is like a tool, right? It's like a tool that will automatically build something for you. Think about like Legos, right? Legos, you come up with different pieces out the box. Imagine you have a robot that will build the Lego for you. The Lego stack. Terraform is me using a tool to program something like the robot to build the puzzle for me. So I'm going to build, right, a house. I'm going to build something and it'll do it for me. I'm going to say, hey, I want this room. I want this room. I want this here. I choose what I want. I choose the services in AWS. That's what Terraform is. That's one tool. And then once the house is built, I'm now going to use Jenkins to deploy an application to that house. So everybody knows Netflix, right? Does anybody know Netflix? Type of 1% in the chat. Type of 1% in the chat if you are familiar with Netflix. Type of 1% in the chat if you're familiar with Netflix. Okay. Nice, nice. Cool. So Netflix, literally, number one, if you guys don't know, it lives in AWS, right? But Netflix is a web application. It has to live somewhere. Like Call of Duty, 2K, different applications, they have to live on hardware. They have to live on, I wish I had my another computer. is over there, but they have to live on a computer. And so you can build a computer. You can borrow Amazon's computer. It's called an EC2, right? I use Terraform to automatically build the computer. Okay. And then I use Jenkins, right? Let's just say I'm a developer. I build Call of Duty. I built Netflix. I'm going to say, hey, here's the code for Netflix. Jenkins, I want you to go ahead and automatically deploy this application on the computer. Terraform will build the house. Jenkins will put the people in the house, right? People lives in houses, applications lives on computers. Okay. So you guys are watching me from Instagram, YouTube, etc. All these are applications. Instagram lives on a hardware. YouTube lives on a hardware somewhere. Okay. If you have questions, go ahead and type it in the chat. I'll definitely try to get to you. I'm using like different platforms, but yeah. So nonetheless, Kimchi, I really appreciate you. And so, some people don't. And what I want to say is, like, you want to be able to understand that these are just different tools and you're using them together to create solutions for companies. If you want to know the problem, let me show you something. If you understand the tech stack, that's number one. You understand what these technologies are. You understand how to use it, why it's important and how to use it, and then how you can tie them together. Terraform, build out the infrastructure. Jenkins to deploy the application infrastructure to the infrastructure. We have CloudWatch to be able to monitor the infrastructure for like different metrics. We have, we're going to go ahead and add some security in there because we don't want just anybody to access like our database, right? We want to put these tools together to create a solution. And then when we create that solution, we now become valuable because companies, they have a problem. And all we're doing is putting these solutions together to solve a problem. Literally, I'm pretty sure you guys have been to the mall before and you were hungry. And then for some reason, you started smelling food at the food court. And then you went ahead. So that's a problem. You got hungry. And then you went to the food court. And then you gave them money to solve your problem. That is how businesses works. If you're able to learn something and become valuable and to be able to solve problems for businesses with your tech stack, cloud engineering, $130,000 or more, they will happily pay you to solve their problems, but you have to showcase that. And so we have some questions. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys some stuff. I heard somebody said, how do you feel about getting cloud certs? So I don't have my AWS certification here, but I got the Security Plus, the A+, I got my college degree, I got my AWS CCP, and I was still driving Uber Eats. I could have went for a solutions architect, but after the Security Plus, I realized certifications I have a college degree, right? And I still wasn't getting any interviews. And so I'm very biased towards my own experience. Other people, they probably got certs and degrees and got jobs. It just didn't work for me. And it didn't work for a lot of my students too as well. To each his own, but just with my belief and my experience, it just did not work for me. But what did work, I was able to create projects and solutions and then present that online on LinkedIn saying, hey, today I just build X, Y, and Z. I was able to add Prometheus and Grafana to my infrastructure to track X, Y, and Z. I was able to use Jenkins to automatically deploy my application to my infrastructure that I built with Terraform that saved a lot of time. Top of 1% in the chat if you guys are following along, right? Top of 1% in the chat if you guys are following along. Nice, nice. And so Network Wally, I see you. You said, how do I get C2C roles? And so that's a little bit too much sauce. I'm not gonna lie. I'll have another live specifically for C2C, but essentially, you want to be able to, I won't say it's a different market, But let me say this: based on certain words that's on your resume, you will attract different opportunities. And so a lot of people out there are actually applying for jobs. There is, I paid I paid a lot of money for a mentorship, and in the mentorship, right, I paid a recruiter that had 25 plus years of experience in recruiting. He worked for Google, he worked for Netflix. And one of the things he told me was 99% of people actually apply to jobs. But applying for jobs has the lowest conversion rate to an offer letter. How many of you guys actually knew that? How many of you guys are actually like, to get a job, you're like, oh, I want to get a job, I apply to a job. How many of you guys are currently doing that? Or that's your thought process of getting a job? Anybody? 1%? 1%? Right? Right? Cool. Cool. Nice. And so now there are 5 total ways of getting an offer letter. Okay. There are 5 total ways of getting an offer letter. I'm going to share one extra one that has a higher converting rate. You want to become valuable so recruiters come to you. There's going to be another live that I'm going to do. I'm going to show you my LinkedIn. I'm going to show you my messages, right? I retired my 9-to-5 last year in August, so I'm not in the market right now. But literally, there's still recruiters in my DMs. Why? Because so I am a man, obviously. And I like to use this analogy to my students. I'm very silly. But I tell them, as a man, imagine trying to talk to 1,000 girls. Naturally, women, they're very selective, as they should. And so you'll probably get like a 10% converting rate. If you know what you're doing, you're gonna get a 25, right? You'll probably get, if you talk to 1,000 girls, the conversion rate is going to be very small to even get any attention, right? Instead of trying to go out there in the market, you have them come to you. As a man, what do? You go to the gym. You become more valuable as a man. You start to provide what women want: security, financially, emotionally, and you showcase that in unique ways. It's the same thing when it comes to getting offers, getting recruiters to reach out to you. You understand the problem that they have, and then you provide that solution. Now that you learn the projects, you learn the solution, you want to be able to market yourself on LinkedIn. Okay. You want to be able to market yourself. Now, what do I mean? I have my students, we have a specific strategy that we use, right? There's certain keywords that we have on our resume, and there's certain things that we post on our LinkedIn pages. Okay. And then there's another thing that I specifically do that's only provided for my students. But nonetheless, there is a way to have recruiters to reach out to you. You just become valuable. Instead of me trying to chase girls, I become valuable as a man. Instead of me trying to apply to jobs and getting no callbacks, trust me, I've applied to hundreds. Now, I become valuable. I have what they want. It got to a point where my students, they get annoyed by how many recruiters reach out to them. Within my specific system that I give them, I told them, you know that it's working to the level it needs to be when you are annoyed of them calling you, emailing you. And so, cool. Can you overemploy with 2 W-2s? Jaden, so legally, like, I want you to actually do some due diligence and research on ChatGPT or any AI in terms of the laws when it comes to W-2s, how many W-2s you can have, 1099s and C2C. It's a little homework I want to give to you specifically. And then also I want you to look into C2C in terms of like how you can leverage that. A lot of people in tech, they're doing like W-2s under the radar and not understanding that you can actually just do a C2C, and it's more leverage, it's more tax benefits because you can write off a lot of stuff. And so, cool. So, all right. So I'm gonna. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of different questions on Instagram and YouTube. But now, I want to show you guys. I want to show you guys something. Okay. My student Isaac, he was able to collect $1.4 million in offer letters. The first skill, right, I told you guys was cloud engineering. He learned the tech stack, Terraform, Ansible, computer networking, right, security. They're like different pieces to the puzzle, and you don't need to be an expert in all of them. That's why I love them. You need to understand what it is, why it's important, and how to use it. And then you're taking these different pieces and you're building a solution. The solution are problems that companies have, and they're looking for people who know how to do it. I just got my hair cut. There was a solution that my barber had. Zoom, 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 zoom. Cool. When you go to the mall and you're hungry, that's a problem. I go to Panda Express. As you see, I'm a little bit chunky. I'm just kidding. But there's a solution that Panda Express created to be able to solve my problem. That's how business works. If you're able to solve solutions, solve problems with the solution that you have, with the skill set that you have, you'll be able to make money. Type a 1% in the chat if that makes sense. Go ahead and type a 1% in the chat if that makes sense. Hannah, it's really good to see you. Nelly, I see you, boss. Nice, nice. We got Timmy Tayo on the call too. So now that's the first skill. The second skill, I already talked about it. Now that you have this high income skill, you want to be able to have a skill set to have recruiters come to you. I'm gonna say that one more time. Do not let that go over your head. You want to be able to have a skill set to have recruiters come to you. If you have a skill set, AWS Cloud Engineering, $130,000 a year. That's number one. And then the second skill, sorry, I'm gonna give you guys a bonus skill too. And then the second skill is having recruiters reach out to you consistently. Consistently. Some people cannot even get a recruiter on the call. I know this because that was me. Remember, college degree, certifications. I was driving Uber Eats with a college degree. I fell into the lie. But then, wait a minute. I understood how the game worked. I understood that I fell into the lie of studying knowledge and not applying it. And then I learned applying the knowledge, building things, building solutions, because when you get on the job, you're going to be building solutions. So they don't care if you know what an EC2 is. They care if you can create an EC2 and install an application on that EC2 and make sure that it's running successfully. Make sure you install an application load balancer to distribute the traffic. You see what I mean? There's a difference. And so the second skill to get recruiters to come to you. But now that you have AWS Cloud Engineer, $130,000 or more, now that you have recruiters coming to you, that's actually half the battle. I'm going to give you a third and final skill that I give my students. I'm going to give you guys a bonus skill. And that is, you want to be able to clearly articulate yourself technically that showcases that you can solve people's problems, but not just people's problems, companies that are looking for people who understand how to solve cloud engineer problems. I remember I got an offer letter. There was an in-person, not in-person, there was the interview was, hey, go ahead and do this thing, right? It was like, go ahead and share your screen, blah, blah, blah. And I did not know what to do. But guess what I did? I literally searched on Google. It was like they wanted me to use Terraform modules. I didn't know it at the time. And they wanted me to create a module, an S3 module for something. And I didn't know what modules but I didn't know what it was. It was ChatGPT, but I was afraid to use it. So I searched up Terraform modules. I read the documentation. I understood it. I went ahead and tried to like deploy something and use it, just something randomly, following the instructions. And then I tried to apply it towards what they were telling me to do. That was the ability and thought process of troubleshooting and trying to solve problems, even with something I knew nothing about. I got the offer letter for $110,000. At the time, I was making 135. I told them no because it was a conflict of interest with the company that I currently had. I'm not going to say the names, obviously, but I declined the offer because it was a conflict of interest. And then they said, "Oh, we want to pay you, we want to match you 135." After they told me they didn't have the budget when I told them no. Negotiation. That's a whole different topic in terms of negotiation. A lot of people undercut themselves, but I'm gonna give y'all the sauce. Okay, so yeah, understanding CI/CD pipelines too. Okay, yes, sir. Okay, okay. All right, cool. So if you're able, so Isaac, 10 months, $1.4 million in offer letters. Literally, talk is cheap. If you want to see it yourself, go to my Instagram, look for Isaac, he's there, and then go to my YouTube and watch the testimonial interview. It will tell you. But Isaac, that is the process of what he did. He learned the tech stack. He learned how to get recruiters to come to him. And then he learned how to communicate. Right? There's different things that we do. There's different reps. I have my students do a lot of reps in terms of clearly articulating the projects and the tech challenges that they do inside my program, to the point where it's in their DNA to be able to clearly articulate the value that they possess. A lot of people in tech just know the technical stuff, but they cannot communicate. As a 1%er, I teach people how to make $500,000 a year. I know, like, the little title says 300K. I lied. It's $500,000. And that is the mindset and the baseline minimum. It is a part of your DNA, a part of you, to make $25,000 a month after tax in the state of Maryland. That's what I was doing. If you don't believe me, just look in my Instagram. On the About Me, you'll literally see my offer letters. You'll see my pay stubs. Like, talk is cheap. And then you'll see a bunch of my students' offer letters too. But that is literally the same roadmap. As a 1%er, we want to make sure the baseline minimum is $500,000. That's the mindset first. Mindset has to be attached with skill set. I just gave you the roadmap of the skill set of what you need to do to at least make $130,000 a year. Type a 1% in the chat if that makes sense. Type a 1% in the chat if that makes sense. Okay. Shay, Samuel, I see you. I don't know if you're still on the live, but go ahead and DM me on Instagram and say, make sure this gets to Tayo and transfer it over. They'll transfer it over to me. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and answer some questions. I do gotta go, but I'm gonna go ahead and answer some questions that you guys have on Instagram. I don't even know. What's good, Derek? What's going on, boss? What's going on? Cool. Please let them know that if you also know Linux Cloud. Yeah, if you know Linux, so we have. I don't even know how to pronounce the. Sorry, I'm a little bit slow. I'm just kidding, but. He says, please let them know that if you also know Linux, cloud engineering gets easy. Yes, that is true. Yes, that is true. Do you also teach your cloud students Linux and Terraform? 1000%. You cannot be a cloud engineer without knowing that. I live in South Africa where the unemployment rate is all-time highs. Now, the reason why I love cloud engineering is because you can learn this skill set. There's a guy named I forgot his name. It's like Cloud something, but he's in India. He makes 6 figures because he just outsourced work in the US. He has different like contract work. Like, I love cloud engineering because if you really know the skill set, it doesn't matter. You can make money through a job. You can make money through contracting. Literally speaking, like, I just hired a tech guy within my own company, and he knows the skill set of cloud engineering, and he's actually building things for me, right? Using CloudBot. It's actually insane. But nonetheless, if you do have this skill set, it's you can make some money. Okay. So the Fumidare said, I agree. I didn't have no sense, but bagged my first job after a boot camp. Okay, nice. All right, cool. All right, I see you guys. You said, what's up, Tile? So C2C over W2? It depends on what you like. It depends on what you're looking for. If you want a job, if you want to be like, there's nothing wrong with that. I'll drop my Instagram. It's just Tile Lucy. And so, oops. There's a YouTube. Okay, Tile Lucy. And so, yeah, if you want like C2C, it's like it's you have your own consulting business. And so they're coming to me, they're coming to you because they have a problem, and you are just providing a service like deliverables. So you get paid by your deliverables, not more so your time. And so it depends on the contract, and depends on the structure of the contract, but nonetheless, it just depends on what you're looking for. If you want to be able to build your business, and it's really just doing the same thing, the same services that you're providing at a W2, you're just providing it under your business. And there's a lot of pros, and there's some cons too. I'm not gonna lie, because you're your own business, right? You have to do your own taxes. Like for me, because I'm educated, I've been taught by a CPA. My tax liability is pretty low because I'm taking advantage of the different tax laws that the U.S. government gives us. Right? So I'm taking advantage of different taxes, but nonetheless, you do your own taxes. And then also, you have to, like, there's no like PTO, right? And so like you have to make sure like things get done because they're paying you for a deliverable, just depending on the contract. Okay, cool. And so let me see. It's good to have you, recruiter cousin. All right, so I gotta go. I'm definitely late for. I am late. I gotta go to a meeting. But if you guys have any questions on anything tech related, just comment 1%. Right? DM me 1%. If you guys are interested in terms of like how to get started, or if you're already in tech making 6 figures and you want to be able to unlock the earning potential all the way to $500,000 a year, like I said, the first time you're going to hear that number, you're going to think like, oh, this is crazy amount. The same thing happened to me. My mentor challenged me and said, hey, Tyler, how much money do you want to make? I said, I'm going to surprise this guy. I want to make $250,000. He said, okay, your number is too low. I want you to double it. I literally thought he was smoking cocaine. Well, snorting it. I thought he was smoking crack. I was like, this guy wants me to make $500,000, but he's my mentor. I believed him, and I said, okay, this is my goal. And I started seeing opportunities to me to actually make that. Do you know that there's people right now that I know personally that make $1.1 million, $1.2 million as cloud engineers, right, using C2C, or even not even as cloud engineers, they're in tech. The whole point of me saying that is that if they can do it, and most likely they're not better than you, then what makes you think you can't do it yourself? Okay, Isaac was able to get $1.4 million in 10 months. Talk is cheap. It's on my highlights. Please go ahead and look at it on Instagram. Tayolusi, Tayolusi. And so the first thing that you need is your mindset. If you're not making $500,000, if you're not a 1%er, change your mindset. It's just changing it and believing it. If you don't believe it, lie to yourself. That's what I did. Okay. The first thing is your mindset. For the rest of my life, my students will never make anything less than $500,000 a year, $25,000 a month. And that is the baseline, because they possess the skills. I don't teach people how to get a job. I teach people how to get their skill set. No one can take that away from you. No one can take this degree, but it's worthless. Guess what this process gave me? Uber Eats. I was driving Uber Eats. But guess what? The skill set that I'm showing you guys got me. I'm not going to tell you, just look at the about me on my highlights. I was able to collect $1 million in offer letters throughout my journey and throughout my career. And I retired. I retired last year in August. And so now my whole purpose is just to show people what I've done and show people how to actually learn the skill set of cloud engineering. And so I tell people, you do not have to join my program. There's other programs out there. I don't really, need your money, respectfully. But my job, I just want to show people what this has done for me. I was able to retire my mom. I was able to help a lot of people look at my highlights. And it's just going through a step-by-step process. If you want me and my team to help you, just DM me the word 1%. If not, that's completely fine. Take this information and apply it. Please just use this, because you'll see if this works for if it's worked for a bunch of other students, I don't see why it wouldn't work for you, unless you just give up or unless you just kind of BS. And so I'm telling you, this changed my life, and it's my job and my purpose just to show people, this process so it can change theirs. And it's changed a lot of people's lives. And so if you want me and my team to help you out, just go on my Instagram, TAYOLUSI, and DM me the word 1%. Then also what I'll do is I'll make it easier for you. I'm going to drop a link so you guys can go ahead and book a call to see if we can actually even help you. But once again, there is YouTube University. There is other programs. You do not have to join my program. I cannot stress that enough. You do not have to join my program. It's only if you want our help. Okay. And so I'm going to drop the link. I don't even know if that's going to work on Instagram. Well, if you guys are on Instagram, just go to my page, and it's the link in my bio. And then on YouTube, I'm going to drop it low right here. Let's see if that works. And so you can that's not going to work. And so, but nonetheless, if you guys need some help, I'll just be really simple. Just go ahead and type a 1%, DM me the word 1% on Instagram, or click the link in my bio, and we'll see if you're qualified. We don't just work with anybody. Okay, we want people who are actually serious, that's willing to put in the work to go through the blueprint, because those who are gone through the blueprint, you can see the results of my highlights on my Instagram page. Just go to my Instagram page. It's right under there. You'll see a bunch of students. And then you can see my offer letters to show, I know what I'm talking about. And so nonetheless, that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, hit my DMs. I'm here for you guys. I'm here to help you. Even if you don't join my program, you don't have to. I'm still here to help. And so I have a team. We're here to help you. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to be going to be going live every day and really giving you guys some sauce. So come back tomorrow at 7:30 and let's get it. You guys have a good night. Deuce.